wedding day, or it's fast approaching. So here is a top video seen from a hairdresser's point of view to make your hair go as smoothly as possible on your wedding day. So here's some tips and some ideas to help it just go perfectly on the day. So if the hairdresser is coming to you, make sure you've set aside an area for her to set up. Doesn't have to be a massive amount of area or too small, but just certainly an area that she can get round easily. Set out a chair, make sure it's by a socket. There's a table or at least a sideboard for her to use. She will want to lay down any GHDs or tongs or hairdryer, but just somewhere there that she can set that down aside. And make sure there's fair lighting. If you're in the room, I would possibly say to give the makeup artist the side that's got the natural light and set the hairdresser in the other end maybe that has got fair lighting but and is by a socket. Maybe leave out an extension lead. She should provide one and bring one along. I tend to take one with a multi-plug because I've got so many things to plug in, but don't rely upon that. And if you can do anything to sort of help her out or him out, for it to be as smooth as possible, your hair will just go absolutely perfectly. If you've got a mirror, a dressing mirror or a full length mirror, maybe have that out. They should bring a back mirror, but there is a lot of kit to bring when you're going from venue to venue. So maybe lay one out if you have one to spare, so that you can see what's going on and give feedback as your hair's going up as well to the hairdresser. Going back to the chair as well, if the chair's a wooden chair, an antique chair, a precious chair that you like very much, please cover it because we are going to be using a lot of hairspray. This will come off the chair. If it's a wooden chair, it will come off with some soap and water carefully, or just cleanse it very carefully. But to avoid this, please cover the chair with either a hand towel or some other form of covering, a blanket or something, just to stop this from falling onto the chair and creating a residue. Hair washed. Now, at your trial, you should have spoke to your hairdresser about how your hair should be upon arrival to the hair on the day, for the hair on the day. So if you're having your hair down, the hairdresser may want to wash it and blow dry it, ready to go. Great. If this isn't the case, if the hair's going to be up or half up, half down, it probably will need to have been pre-washed by yourself. So you will have hopefully discussed whether this will be on the day before, a couple of days before. Whichever you've agreed to, please try and stick to. I have had only a couple of brides who have sat down in front of me and either expected me to wash it, where we haven't pre-agreed. I haven't factored in that time, so please be careful of that. And I've also had a bride who sat down in front of me with dripping wet hair after getting out from the bath. Not a great scenario when I've got to start blow drying it and then putting it up. The hair is going to just slip and slide, because when the hair is freshly washed and still damp as well, the hair will relax, meaning the grips and the hairspray will just start to sort of fall. So please stick to the plan. So if your hair's particularly greasy, wash it that morning if you must, but at least get up early so that it has a couple of hours to bed in and dry off, ready to go for your hairdresser. And when it comes to styling it before they arrive, blow dry it off, smooth it out if you can. Don't overly straighten unless you've been told to by the hairdresser. Leave it as natural as possible, but in a fit state to start working straight away. Also, tops to wear. So your bride, as you are a bride, or your chief bridesmaid may have agreed for you to wear matching tops, which is great, but bear in mind the top and the neckline. You want it to be able to step out of it, not particularly to be able to pull over your head, and if it is over your head, make sure it has a wide neck to be able to get over. When your hairdresser has created this perfect creation, don't expect her to have time to factor back in redoing it all when you've pulled over a polar neck. I have had to cut a bride out of a top in the past because she's wore, for whatever reason, the wrong kind of top. We haven't realised when I've put a gown on her, and I've had to cut it off, which hasn't been great. So I have learned from this experience, and please let you do too. Remember your accessories, have them all ready to go in front of you, whether that's your tiara, bands, clips, veil as well. Make sure your veil's hanging up on a hanger or on a hook so that the creases have come out and it's all ready to go. Maybe pre-cut off the labels on there. The hairdresser will obviously have scissors, being a hairdresser, but don't rely on this as well. So maybe it will come with a label or a tag, maybe cut that off so it's ready to go as well. Remember the pictures from the trial. So if you took pictures, the hairdresser should have taken pictures, but if you've taken pictures, have them in front of you ready to go, whether it's your phone or your camera, just so that you can refer back to them and say, hey, this is how it was, this is how we've agreed, is that right? And also the hairdresser at points along putting your hair up, especially for the bride, might just say, can you just show me that picture again? I just need to double check the parting or how it's falling. However it is, just for them to double check against is a really good idea. Also, just a casual reminder to the hairdresser of things that you've liked and discussed in your trial. So if you remembered that she did try your fringe that particular one way, but you weren't too keen on it, just refresh her memory. It has possibly been a couple of months since you did your hair trial, and she has seen a lot of heads of hair since then. She should have taken notes and, like I say, taken pictures, but just do a little casual heads up, just so it goes as smoothly as possible, because you don't want her to have put it all up, it's all ready to go, and then there'll be some question as to what it's been put up like. It's not what you agreed, and we don't want tears. We really, really don't. Timing, be ready to go. So if we've pre-agreed to be with you for a certain time, we've factored in that time to set up, be ready to go. We then expect to start the hair almost straight away as soon as we've set up. If you're having a makeup artist, what I really recommend, and this is a little secret tip, if you're having a makeup artist, check with them whether they like to have the hair before or after the makeup. Hairdressers, as a rule of thumb, don't tend to mind too much about the makeup, whether it's done before or after the hair. Maybe the only thing they might need to factor in is if there's a down fringe that might need to be clipped up and then afterwards be brought back down. But the makeup artists tend to be a little bit more choosy about whether they have you before or after the hair. So what I would do before the day is work out, make a list of the bride and the bridesmaids after on both sides, hair on one side, makeup on one side. Then what I would do if they're both having hair and makeup is factor in who's going first, second, third, fourth, and so on down on the list. And I would have this list for the makeup artist and also for the hairdresser, and one maybe just stuck up in the room as well with the names as well, because the hairdresser might not know all the names of the bridesmaids as well. So it's just nice to be able to call upon the next bridesmaid to the hairdresser by name, and they won't really know who it is, and at least they've got the name. So with this list, I would put bridesmaid 1 to go for makeup first, bridesmaid 2 to go for hair first, then bridesmaid 2 will go to makeup artist, bridesmaid 1 will go to hair. Then I would just keep on going, then factor in the bride. Now the bride tends to like to go either last or close to last, so factor that in as well. But also remember, if the bride is having rollers in the hair beforehand, the hairdresser might like to have her at the very beginning to put those rollers in before she then starts down. But by sorting this out and mapping this out on this list makes it so much easier, and you'd be amazed wasting 10 minutes for each person by either finding that person, working out who's going next, is that person arrived, are they ready, saving those 5-10 minutes for that each person. It adds up, definitely, and you want to be on time, well, as close to being on time as you can be. The bride can be late, but not too late, and especially as a hairdresser, you don't want it to be because of the hair, definitely not. So help them out, do that list. I think it will really, really work. Makeup artist as well, just give her a list of that as well, for her to work through. Her timing should be roughly the same as a hairdresser's with hair up, maybe slightly more, but this will pinpoint and give you that chance to factor in that time as well. When the hairdresser has finished your hair up, look in the mirror, double check it over, and if at that point you feel that there's something not quite right, it's not quite tight enough, it's not quite high enough, hasn't got enough spray on, tell the hairdresser at that point. Don't wait until maybe half an hour or an hour down the line when you're in the dress and everything to say, oh, this isn't right, I don't feel happy. They haven't factored in that time. So tell them at that point when you're sat in front of them, the equipment's all still out, raring to go, whether you need to have it pinned up a little bit more or a bit looser, or the fringe needs to be changed. Tell them at that point. They won't mind, honestly. If you leave it till right at the last minute, your window of opportunity might have missed. So please tell them. As a hairdresser, I do tend to finish all of the wedding party, and then just before time to leave to go to the venue, I tend to just top up. And this is literally a top up. So at this point I will put the veil into the bride. She will be in her dress, her makeup and her hair will be done. So at this point I will put the veil into her hair and secure it. Go over again with hairspray and double check anything else that needs pinning up or checking, and do the same for the bridesmaids after. Just giving them another light mist and another couple of grips if they need to, double checking it over, and if at that point anything major needs doing, it kind of has to wait. It should have been done a little bit, but just let it be as smooth as possible for the hairdresser. I hope this has been of some help and given you a little bit of a window inside what it's like for a hairdresser on your special day. He or she does want to make it as special and as smoothly as possible. By following these tips, hopefully it should do that. So if you can help the hairdresser, they can make it absolutely perfect for you. Also, just another little tip from me as a hairdresser: after the wedding, after your big day, please maybe just send a little picture to your hairdresser. She should have taken pictures as she's gone along, but it's so nice to have for their portfolio a picture of you fully complete in your dress all together. It's just really, really rewarding as well, and it's just a nice big thank you for all of the effort and the hard work to see you in your complete state then, with your hair and your makeup and your dress on. I hope this helped. If you've got any comments, please leave it in the box below or send me some messages. There will be more videos like this to come about bridal hair and hair in general, so please like and subscribe. There will be a lot more coming. Congratulations on your wedding day. I hope it goes as smoothly as possible. If you followed these tips, I'm sure it will. Lots of love. Please like and subscribe. Bye.